I think up next we have Rasha.
Hello, everyone. My name is Racha Cherradi. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm a third-year medical student at Texas A&M University, and today I will be presenting the risk of inflammatory arthropathies among patients with rosacea. So before we talk about our findings, it's important to understand the inflammatory basis of rosacea and why it has raised concerns about a possible risk with inflammatory arthropathies. What is rosacea? So rosacea is a chronic inflammatory facial dermatosis commonly associated with papules, pustules, telangiectasias, as well as flushing. While it's primarily seen as a localized skin disorder, growing evidence has shown that it has been associated with systemic conditions such as cardiovascular diseases such as hypertension and dyslipidemia, as well as gastrointestinal diseases such as H. pylori and inflammatory bowel disease, and neuropsychiatric conditions such as depression, anxiety, migraines, and even Parkinson's disease. While while there has been a lot of evidence about several conditions such as the cardiovascular, gastrointestinal, and neuropsychiatric conditions, the relationship with inflammatory arthropathies remains underexplored despite known shared immunological mechanisms. Specifically, inflammatory arthropathies and rosacea both involved increased toll-like receptor 2 expression, which is an innate immunological pathway, and activation of the Th17 axis, which is an adaptive immune pathway, with shared key cytokines playing a role such as interleukin 17 and interleukin 23. As a result, we decided to assess the long-term risk of developing inflammatory arthropathies among patients with rosacea in comparison to non-matched controls and determine whether or not inflammatory arthropathies are part of rosacea's systemic spectrum. We performed a retrospective cohort study using TriNetX, which is a multi-institutional network that comprises of around 140 U.S. healthcare organizations. Our rosacea cohort included around 630,000 patients initially, they were identified with ICD-10 code L71. Our control cohort initially contained 4.2 million patients, and these were patients that did not have rosacea. To balance our cohorts and control for confounding variables, we performed one-to-one propensity score matching, adjusting for age, race, ethnicity, sex, psoriasis, lupus, and Behçet's disease, which are comorbidities commonly associated with inflammatory arthropathies. As demonstrated in Table 1, the most important columns to look at this are the first column, which is the characteristic column, as well as the last column, which is the standardized mean difference. For each characteristic, after propensity score matching, the standardized mean difference was less than 0.01, which shows that we were able to effectively balance both of our cohorts and reduce confounding bias. We also excluded any patients that had a prior history of inflammatory arthropathies at the time of index. Our final cohorts each had around 529,000 patients, and that is a significant study strength of ours, which is a large sample size. The inflammatory arthropathies that we assessed were psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, gout, other crystal arthropathies such as calcium pyrophosphate deposition disease, and other inflammatory spondyloarthropathies, which were all identified by ICD-10 codes. Our time outcomes were 1, 3, and 5-year follow-ups, and our measures included risk ratios as well as 95% confidence intervals. Table 2 demonstrates the time-stratified risk of inflammatory arthropathies in patients with rosacea. First column demonstrates the outcomes, and then it's differentiated by the time follow-up, 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. So if we first take a look at 1 year, 3 year, and 5-year follow-ups, psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and ankylosing spondylitis showed statistical significance across all these follow-ups. We'll specifically focus on the 5-year follow-up right now. Psoriatic arthritis had a risk ratio of 1.168 at 5 years with a total cumulative risk of 0.33%. Rheumatoid arthritis showed a risk ratio of 1.081 at 5 years with a total cumulative risk of 1.08%. And ankylosing spondylitis showed a risk ratio of 1.070 at 5 years with a total cumulative risk of 0.33%. There was no consistent association among gout and other crystal arthropathies. For other inflammatory spondyloarthropathies, there was significance for the 3-year and 5-year follow-up, but no statistical significance at the 1-year follow-up. At 5 years, it had a risk ratio of 1.117 with a total cumulative risk of 0.895. Pathophysiologically, these results make sense. Rosacea, alongside with rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, and psoriatic arthritis, share both toll-like receptor 2 expression and Th17 pathway involvement. While gout, on the other hand, has a distinct immunological mechanism. It's driven by interleukin-1 beta and NLRP3 inflammasome pathway. So what does this mean? Well, our results show some statistical significance. The p-values are less than 0.05. Statistical significance does not necessarily equate to clinical significance. So if we look at the risk ratios and even the total cumulative risk, it is not inherently significantly significant where we would have to change our current management of rosacea. So therefore, we actually do not recommend routine screening. It's not warranted. So if a patient with rosacea comes into your office and asks what are the most common comorbidities associated with rosacea, you can reassure them that inflammatory arthropathies is typically not one of them. But if a patient with rosacea comes in complaining of signs that are suggestive of joint inflammation, further evaluation is appropriate, as it would be for any patient, regardless of whether or not that they had rosacea or not. Future research should include rosacea subtype-specific inflammatory arthropathies. The researchers that are also working with me on this project, we have been looking at this, and preliminary findings of this result show that ocular rosacea actually has no significant risk for inflammatory arthropathies, while Phymatous rosacea has similar results as presented today. It would also be interesting to see the effects of immune modulating therapies and how they can help treat patients that have both rosacea and inflammatory arthropathies. And when I refer to routine screening, I'll just give you an example. So for psoriasis, 30% of patients with psoriasis will have a lifetime risk of developing psoriatic arthritis. So it is routine in a visit for someone with psoriasis to ask them if they have joint symptoms. So I want to see if this was something that we would also have to do for rosacea. But again, based on our risk ratios and our total cumulative risk, that is not indicated. Thank you. And then I'm open to any questions.
A couple of things. Did you all look into the incidence of anti-nuclear antibodies, which have been shown to be 50% in your group? Second of all, was there anything in the patients with the seronegative spondyloarthropathies? Did they show any change in the rosacea with the use of IL-17 drugs or the IL-23 drugs?
No, we did not, but that would definitely be a good future research publication that we can do. China X does have some limitations, unfortunately. Hello.
I enjoyed your talk.
Thank you.
The major thing I like is you said you don't need to do this routine screening. However, the question I have for you is when you're talking about the screening, where you say when the person comes in, you don't have, I think it's important as all doctors, we should always do a review of systems. So a review of systems should be intrinsic on the person who actually sees the person.
Mhm.
And on your review of systems and on the physical exam, you ought to be able to denote if there is a problem with the joints. And then if there is anything, you order an x-ray.
That is very true. But unfortunately, real life doesn't always work like that. Some physicians see 40 patients a day. 40 patients a day. So your time is limited. So sometimes you can't ask a very thorough review of systems. And the same thing goes with, well, what if a patient has something that's bothering them, such as joint pain, they would bring it up. But unfortunately, patients don't always bring up the symptoms that are bothering them. But what really prompted us to perform this study or gain inspiration was that we actually saw a publication on hidradenitis suppurativa that had a significant increased risk of inflammatory arthropathy. Some of the risk ratios were like 8. And I had always had a keen interest in rosacea, considering that it is a systemic inflammatory disease, and I want to see if it extended to it. So that's ultimately what gained my interest in doing this project. And considering that there were shared immunological mechanisms, I thought it was a great start. I honestly thought the risk ratios would be more elevated, but they weren't, and that's okay. A lack of association is still a fact. I feel like oftentimes in research, we're always trying to find some positive finding and make it like super clinically meaningful, but even a lack of a result is clinically meaningful.
Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
Please support our mission to improve quality of patient care through education. Join us, follow us, and share this content with family and friends.